Yo, Kenwood Sports, man. Back with another video this week. I gotta come up in here and speak on these Saints, man. These New Orleans Saints, 1-2, after dropping a loss to the Carolina Panthers, man. That was a game that the Saints had no business losing. Saints should very well be 2-1 right now, man. But good thing the Bucks end up losing to the Packers, so the Saints not too far behind. Pretty much, the Falcons, Saints, and the Panthers, all three of them 1-2, while the Bucks is 2-1. So everybody pretty much one game behind the Bucks in the NFC South. But man, the most important thing that I see, well, it's a few things that I see that's causing the Saints to be losing these games that I feel like they should have won. They could have beat the Bucks, but that was a game that was it was nip and tuck. That was a nip and tuck game. It was 3-0 for a long time. Saints wasn't playing from behind most of that game. They pretty much had a lead a lot of the time in that game, but just couldn't get nothing going. And that goes back to the play calling, the horrible play calling that I've been seeing. I ain't gonna say it's horrible, but it's not good. The play calling is not good for what the Saints do. The Saints is known for getting players in space, running screens, running the ball, establishing a run. The number one thing that I see is the protection. Jameis Winston is getting sacked. He got sacked 11 times. Now, it's multiple quarterbacks that have been sacked double digit amount of times. You got Matt Ryan, you got Joe Burrow, you got Carson Wentz, um, guys like that, Daniel Jones. And what I see, and all those, Matt Ryan, if I ain't say Matt Ryan, all those quarterbacks like to hold the ball for a long time. And what does Jameis Winston do? He holds the ball for too long. You never know. The offensive lineman never know if he's got the ball out of his hand or is he back there patting the ball or what. But you cannot hold the ball for a long time, especially when your offensive line is struggling. 11 sacks on the year already for Jameis Winston. That's too many sacks. He already injured with a back injury. He also got an ankle injury, so that's not helping the situation. Also, not establishing the run. The establishing the run and the play calling go hand in hand. We got great receivers. We got Mike Thomas. We got Chris Olave. We got Jarvis Landry that come in. Adam Troutman playing tight end, who's decent. I'm not even gonna say. That's all I can say is he's decent. And we still got Traquan Smith. So those four wide receivers right there is I don't know if there's any four that you can say that another team got four receivers that is decent as those four together as a foursome. Okay, so establishing a run is one of the most important things that you got to do in the Saints offense. With Alvin Kamara missed the game. I think he missed the second game, which was against the Bucks, which I expected the Saints to lose that game because when you force Jameis Winston to sit back in the pocket and keep dropping back, keep dropping back, keep dropping back, the defense already know Jameis Winston is bound to give you at least one or two turnovers when he keep dropping back, time after time and time again. Mark Ingram made a big fumble in that game, and that was against the Bucks. Mark Ingram had a big fumble, and the Saints was in the Bucks red zone. That was one of the that was when they can be in position. They was up three already, and they was could been up two scores if the Saints would have got that ball in the end zone. But Mark Ingram fumbled that ball, which you don't see a lot of. You hardly ever see Mark Ingram fumbling the football. In this third game against the Panthers, it started out crazy. Once I seen how that game started, I knew it was about to be trouble from the Saints. And when you got Jameis Winston and you playing from behind and you barely can get the game, you barely can get the ball moving, you steady dropping back, it's going to be a long day. Alvin Kamara in the first quarter got stripped. It was returned for a touchdown by the Carolina Panthers. They took a 7-0 lead, couldn't establish the run. That pretty much had the Saints playing from behind for the rest of the game. Baker Mayfield did nothing. The defense that has not been getting anything to work with from the offense. They keep going back on the field. The defense really held down Baker Mayfield. He probably had 65, 70 yards going into the fourth quarter. He probably didn't even have that going into the fourth quarter. He probably had less than that. I might be exaggerating. I might be giving them some yards. But that pass he did to Shenault, it was a 1 yard pass that went to the house probably like 70 and 80 yards, at least 70, 60, 70 yards for sure. to the house. That was the only offensive touchdown that they scored. The other one was a defensive touchdown, and I believe that they had 2 field goals because at one point it was what 13-7. The Saints was only down by 6. After that score, the score became 20-6. Jameis Winston, now he really didn't really have a problem throwing the ball away that game because one of those passes that he threw was tipped at the line, and one of the defensive linemen dove and actually made a hell of a catch in the middle of the field. He dove, the ball was tipped, he dove, he caught that. That was one of the interceptions. Then the other interception was at the end of the game where you got to take a chance going down the field. He took a chance down the field on a Hail Mary, and that one got picked off on the sideline. But back to the Bucks game. The Bucks, James Winston did start throwing those interceptions until the end of the game, pretty much. And I already knew what type of game it was going to be when I found out that Alvin Kamara wasn't playing, and I seen Mark Ingram fumble that ball. I knew what type of game it was going to be. The Bucks got a hellified defense, and if they're gonna if they pressure you up front, it's gonna be a long day when they send that pressure up front. With Vita Vea, and they got Shaq Barrett, Devin White. They got some guys up front that's tough to deal with. And once they bring that pressure on you, you're not establishing a run. It's gonna be a very long day when you're playing against a defense like the Bucks. Jameis Winston protection might not be that great right now. I know the rookie tackle that we drafted, Penning, he got injured I believe he got injured in preseason. He got injured in preseason. I believe he's out for the year, if I'm not mistaken. He could be on IR and make a late season return. But with that protection struggling like it is, Jameis Winston cannot sit back there and not throw the ball, not get off the ball. He got to be quicker with his reads. The play calling, without having Sean Payton back there, it's hard on the Saints right now. It's hard on the Saints without having Sean Payton calling the plays. Because you got to have the defense head on a swivel. You got to be able to threaten them with that run when you got a guy like Jameis Winston. You got to be able to keep them on their heels. Because that play action is one thing. Getting the ball and throwing the ball into the flats, getting Alvin Kamara in the space, finding little holes to throw in to Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas got some official hands. Adding Jarvis Landry, he definitely got some official hands. And then you got Chris Olave, the rookie who can get down the field and catch the ball. He showed that he's over 278 yards, I believe he has. He leading the team in receiving. Chris Olave, the rookie out of Ohio State. And then Michael Thomas is coming right after that, catching almost everything that goes his way. So that and playing from behind is something that the Saints cannot do. They must get the offense rolling earlier. Got to get the ball rolling earlier because you don't want to have Jameis Winston back there time and time again, trying to play from behind, steady dropping back, steady getting pressure. It's going to be ugly, man. It's going to be ugly with the turnovers. He's got, 5 interceptions on the year so far? 5 interceptions, 11 sacks, 2 lost fumbles in 3 games. It's not a good look. We got to clean that up. And the defense got to get some turnovers. The defense has to take the ball away and give the offense more chances to score, knowing that we don't have any protection because of how long Jameis Winston holding the ball. The protection is breaking down. The play calling is not good for what the Saints do. Jameis Winston has a talented arm. The Saints do have talented receivers. But like I said, you got to put all that together. You got to be able to get guys in space. Add Deontay Hardy. You got to be able to add Deontay Hardy into the game, formerly known as Deontay Harris. He changed his name this year. But you got to get him involved in the offense because the more options that you have, the more different plays that you can run with the Saints. You got to have a speed guy here, a guy with hands here, a guy with height here, a guy that can carry the ball here, a guy that can catch a screen pass. All those different things come in to play when it comes time to run the Saints offense. We got to be able to do all those things. We got to be able to keep the defense on their heels, keep the defense honest. You cannot have Jameis Winston dropping back and the defense instead of bringing fire and the protection breaking down. So we're going to keep a close eye on this game coming up, the Saints versus the Minnesota Vikings. That's going to be a game that the Saints must win, or otherwise the Saints are going to be 1-3, and it's going to be hard to come back from, a hard hole to come back from. Jameis Winston pretty much. Andy Dalton is behind him. So Dennis Allen said he's sticking with Jameis Winston, so we're going to see what's going on with this Minnesota and Saints game coming up. Gotta protect the ball. Gotta protect the quarterback. The defense gotta get some takeaways. Definitely gonna come back and do a review on this Saints and Minneapolis, Minnesota Vikings game.